Coming up on CBC Vancouver News.
I don't think divers can go down that deep, so they're going to use some of those tools.
A challenging recovery mission is underway for 6 missing people after their boat sank off the shores of Richmond. Plus,
the public should be concerned about this and should be pressuring the government to get back to the table and negotiate a deal that works for the nurses.
More than 50,000 BC nurses are poised for job action, how it could affect patients across the province. And
we're kind of lost here. I am anyway. I feel empty.
Those ones have just gone.
A look at Lytton 5 years after a wildfire tore through the village.
This is CBC Vancouver News.
Hello, thanks for joining us. I'm Janella Hamilton. An RCMP underwater recovery team is now searching for a capsized boat that sank off the shores of Richmond on Sunday. 10 people were on board, 6 are presumed to have drowned. And as John Hernandez reports, the water's extreme depth is complicating recovery efforts.
Richmond police have taken over for search and rescue crews and are trying to recover the sunken boat and 6 bodies. 10 people left this dock on a fishing charter Sunday. The boat sank in the Strait of Georgia, southwest of Vancouver Airport, and we're starting to get a sense of how deep the waters are in that area. Police believe the boat could be up to 180 meters below the surface.
You're going to have to try and utilize some technology like underwater drones and things of that nature to with the recovery. I don't think divers can go down that deep, so they're going to use some of those tools.
Finding that boat is critical. It will give investigators a sense of what happened. Right now, they don't know why the boat sank, but the belief is that it happened fast. The operator never made a mayday call. 4 people were rescued by a nearby sailboat. As of Tuesday, 3 were still in hospital. Police believe that no one on board was wearing a life jacket, a worry for water safety experts.
A sudden sinking like that or a fire is probably boating community's worst nightmares. But the fact that none of them were wearing life jackets was probably the worst, because if anything could have made this situation a bit better, it probably would have been had they been wearing life jackets.
Police say they're still notifying the next of kin and have yet to provide any details on the charter company involved, who was on board, or what their level of boating experience was. The Transportation Safety Board is also involved in the investigation, so right now it's all hands on deck to find that sunken boat. John Hernandez, CBC News, Richmond.
After weeks of rising water levels, a swelling glacier lake near Pemberton has finally burst. Place Glacier has been melting into a lake beside it. Nearby communities are believed to be in the direct path of the flood waters and have been ordered to leave the area. Alana Kelly has been keeping an eye on the situation. Alana, have officials told you when exactly the water could reach these communities and what the impact might be?
Yeah, floodwaters are expected to peak late on Wednesday and potentially into Thursday morning. And the experts monitoring this lake say it will start slow and then get faster.
If you start this flood with really warm temperatures, several degrees, then the size of the flood can be much larger simply because the conduit or the channel gets larger faster. And so that can accommodate more water quicker.
This year, the regional district has strengthened a barrier at the bottom, so all the water will go into Pool Creek. Now, last year there was a barrier, but it broke and sent half of the water to Gates Lake.
Now, Alana, with floodwaters likely to peak by Wednesday, how are evacuees preparing their homes and properties, and how are they feeling?
There's a real sense of anxiety from homeowners to the people that are monitoring this lake to the regional district, and everyone has been waiting for this to happen. Some of the residents on evacuation order have decided not to leave. They're going to stay back, and they say they want to protect their properties. And for the last 2 years, some of these properties did flood, and they fear that this year could be worse. Now, if a resident refuses to leave, they may not be able to get help if a situation takes a turn. So these residents have purchased flood bladders and they put them up around their structures on their properties, but that's really all they can do and just wait. And so there's a lot of questions remaining, including how much volume will come down and where it will go.
Time will tell. Thanks so much, Alana. That's the CBC's Alana Kelly reporting from Squamish. BC nurses are warning patients about potential impacts on the healthcare system if they take job action later this week. As Amelia John reports, the union issued 72-hour strike notice on Monday after members rejected a tentative deal.
Hospital wait times, in-home care, and restrictions on overtime. Just some of the areas patients could see affected if BC nurses take job action this Thursday. The union warning it will start with non-essential duties.
Answering the phone, processing orders, cleaning, stripping down stretchers, running to the blood bank, running to the pharmacy to pick up medication, portering patients.
Rural and regional areas could also be impacted.
In BC, we've seen a lot of pressure in the interior, in the north, in hospital settings, on the health system.
There's a true healthcare crisis, and it's not just in rural hospitals. If you look at our bigger tertiary care hospitals, the wait time in emergency, for example, Royal Jubilee, can be anywhere from 10 to 14 hours.
On Monday, the union issued 72-hour strike notice weeks after members voted to reject a tentative contract offer. In a statement, Health Minister Josie Osborne says people will continue to get the health care they need. The Labour Board has robust processes in place to thoughtfully set what constitutes an essential service. Labour experts say while nurses are considered an essential service and are limited in strike action compared to other professions, workers are taking a risk.
The public should be concerned about this and should be pressuring the government to get back to the table and negotiate a deal that works for the nurses.
Until we have a resolution, nobody knows where this can go.
BC's 5 health authorities referred to the Ministry of Health for comment, with Minister Osborne saying the province wants to give the sides space to negotiate. The nurses' union says its bargaining team is ready to talk ahead of Thursday's deadline. Amelia John, CBC News, Vancouver.
It was 5 years ago today the village of Lytton was mostly destroyed by a wildfire. The community is still rebuilding and only a fraction of the residents have returned. And as Brady Strachan reports, those who have come back say they are struggling to find what was lost.
Dean Adams is one of about 75 people living in Lytton today. 5 years after the fire, most of his neighbors haven't returned, leaving a void he finds hard to accept.
What did I come back to? There's no town. We had a complete town. Now it's no store, no grocery shopping's out of town. So we're kind of lost here. I am anyway.
A retired rail worker, Adam spends his days in his workshop. He's among the few here who've managed to rebuild. Most of the village is still a grid of empty foundations. The memories of the day the fire came still haunt him.
I saw spot fires already, so I got my garden hose and just putting out little fires here and there. That's when I thought, what the hell am I doing? I got to get out of here. Something's wrong.
Those ones have just gone. The whole village is going.
In the sudden panic, residents grabbed what they could and fled through the smoke to escape the flames. The inferno killed 2 of Adam's neighbors and destroyed 90% of the village. 5 years on, scars from the fire remain. Skeletal burned trees stand as a permanent marker of that day.
So you can just see the condition of some of the things, the knives and forks and spoon that are all just melted together.
These charred remnants are a constant reminder for Mayor Denise O'Connor. Elected in 2022, she's been leading the charge to rebuild the town.
There's lots of reasons why it takes so long. I don't want to make excuses for that, but I too wish things had just been done so quickly, but they're not.
Only 20 homes have been rebuilt. Remediation and mandatory archaeological work have slowed the process. Essential services like a grocery store are still missing. A loss felt by the 3,000 people in surrounding rural and First Nations communities who relied on Lytton.
It's not normal, it's not typical, it's but in the meantime, it is what it is, and we have to keep moving forward.
Just over a week ago, part of the village was evacuated again because of another wildfire. That fire is now under control. But back on his property, Dean Adams worries about the future. The community he's always known as home just feels empty.
I don't want to stay. Just between you and me, I'm hoping I can get out, but I can't get out until I, win the lottery. That's the only way to get out.
Brady Strachan, CBC News, Kelowna.
Now, Steve, for those who are concerned about wildfires, there's some good news on the way.
Yeah, Janella, it looks like over the next couple of days, we can expect some more of these showers making its way to the province over Wednesday and Thursday as we get past the midweek point, coming in a little scattered at times, as we can see on the map behind us here, but still heavy at different intervals. It's really as we get to Friday morning where we see more of these systems forming over larger parts of the province, almost the entirety of BC, and bringing some more showers to the region, according to the forecast. Now, that is coinciding with some changes in the fire danger around the province. It is still elevated in large parts of BC, but we do see it actually going down in parts of central, northern, as well as southeastern BC to low or very low, down from moderate to high just a few days ago. So it is an encouraging sign, but we're not quite out of it just yet. And with the rain that we're expecting in the forecast, we are expecting temperatures to come down over the next couple of days, at least until we get to the end of the week. We can see cloud cover over large parts of the south coast and bringing with it some more of those rains. Chance of showers in Squamish, in Nanaimo, as well as Metro Vancouver and in the Fraser Valley. We can see for tomorrow, Lytton is going to be at a high of 24 degrees. But as we get through the next little bit, we do have some unsettled weather conditions in the overnight hours. We'll talk about that and the 5-day later on in the show.
All right, thanks so much, Steve. Search and rescue volunteers from Burnaby have been helping rescue efforts in Venezuela after 2 deadly earthquakes killed more than 1,000 people last week. They say they've been able to rescue and reunite some family members, but are still going from site to site to continue the search.
Yes, our last operation, we were able to have positive identification of a live victim. And we worked with the Venezuelan USAR team. We were needed on an additional site, so we handed off to USA 2, which is LA County, where we got reports that they were able to finish the operation, and we were able to locate a live victim, which was sent to hospital. And we had 2 more live hits today, which we also handed off to heavy teams, and that's underway operationally, and we will find out momentarily. So we are collecting some wins long term, and that really helps recharge our batteries, given the lack of sleep and how much we kind of push ourselves. But that's what we're all here for, is helping people.
The Central Okanagan Food Bank is getting a financial boost for its Food Rescue Transformation Center. Once built, the 11,000 square foot facility will allow the food bank to take in hundreds of tons of fruits and vegetables that might otherwise go to waste.
This innovation project actually is working closely with local farmers, retailers, mini farmers for anything that they can't sell. They can actually donate to us, or we can buy it at a reduced cost instead of buying canned goods.
Ottawa is providing $100,000 to go towards freezers for the food bank, as well as a harvester for a community farm. The freezers will be a key component of the Food Rescue Center. The food bank is still fundraising to build the facility, but hopes to open the first phase by this fall. A proposed 10,000-seat arena in Surrey is moving ahead, and the city has announced its first tenant. Find out who after the break.
This is Vancouver is a new CBC podcast where we explore the issues, the stories, and the people that make this place home. Listen to This is Vancouver wherever you get your podcasts.
Transit fares in Metro Vancouver are expected to go up on July 1st, but as Saurabh Sandhu reports, some advocates say the region needs a better option for low-income households.
Direct the mayor to write a letter to the Provincial Minister of Transportation and Transit.
The city of Langley is calling on the province to create a low-income transit pass after TransLink announced plans to increase fares.
We've heard in our community, especially seniors and a lot of families, about the cost of living. So we know that the best way to create a more affordable community is to invest in transit.
Currently, the BC Bus Pass program offers subsidized passes to low-income seniors and those receiving disability assistance from the province. On Monday, Langley City Council voted in favor of requesting the provincial government to expand that program.
There are folks that even need more affordable transportation options. You know, people that may need to rely on the food bank like they didn't have in the past, and I've certainly seen that more in my community.
Starting July 1st, TransLink fares are increasing by 5%. TransLink estimates an average rider will likely see their monthly transit bills jump $5 to $10 per month.
I don't drive. I need to use a lot this public transportation. And that was a surprise for me, the increase.
I'm going to university in the fall, and it's going to be in Abbotsford. And for the first 2 months, I won't be able to drive, so I have to use transit, so that will definitely affect me.
Aman Chandi and her group Metro Movement is organizing a rally Wednesday to lobby the province to expand the program.
This is a provincial ask, but we do need the support of our local leaders.
Chandi says several other Canadian cities already have a low-income transit pass program.
We're falling behind compared to other cities in Canada. Like, they already have a low-income transit pass, and they're thinking about how to make it better.
The city of Vancouver is also advocating for a low-income transit pass. Saurabh Sandhu, CBC News, Langley.
The proposed 10,000-seat arena in Surrey is moving ahead, and the city has now announced its first tenant. The WHL's Vancouver Giants will be moving from Langley into the brand new arena once it's complete. Beneath Brach has more.
That jersey marking major plans for Surrey.
When we say big things are happening in Surrey, we absolutely mean it.
On Tuesday, the city announced a new 10,000-seat arena, which will become home to the Western Hockey League's Vancouver Giants. It's expected to be completed by 2030.
This is going to be the biggest change to turn Surrey into the city that everybody wanted it to be.
Toigo says the team will aim to host events like the World Juniors and...
This is exciting times, and we're excited. We will go after Memorial Cups once we build the team that can win it.
The Surrey Minor Hockey Association hopes the move brings new momentum for the sport.
It's very exciting for obviously our community, not only the economical impact, but on youth hockey.
Greywall says the association has seen a large decline in enrollment over the years.
In previous years, we've had up to 1,400, 1,500, and now we're down to 400. And I think part of that is that we don't have that, interest in the community, and that's our job to garnish that interest.
The Giants would relocate from the township of Langley.
What seems like a pretty positive looking plan, and if it actually comes to fruition, the timeline of 5 years certainly gives the township of Langley plenty of time to look for an alternative tenant.
He says the Vancouver Giants have been at the Langley Event Centre for about 10 years, but are not the primary tenant currently. Meanwhile, Surrey's mayor says the arena will be surrounded with other amenities.
This project will also include a high-end hotel, conference space, and housing, creating a true sports and entertainment district to attract investment and economic growth in our city.
The new Arena and Cultural Event Centre is planned to be downtown and estimated to cost $360 million. Funding, the city says, was provided for in its 2026 budget. Beneath Brach, CBC News, Surrey.
Here's a look at the day that was at Deep Cove in North Vancouver. Some clouds, some sun throughout the day. Steve Jung has your full weather forecast coming up. It's been 5 years since a stifling heat dome settled over the province. More than 600 people died. Many more suffered in their homes without relief. The tragedy is being remembered by BC's Provincial Health Officer as traumatic for people who lost loved ones. Dr. Bonnie Henry joins us now. Dr. Henry, you said in a statement those who died between June 25th and July 1st, 2021 lived alone and weren't able to keep cool inside their homes. Since then, the province has delivered about 28,000 portable AC units to vulnerable households. Some health advocates say that number has fallen short of the need. What do you have to say to that?
Yeah, that was a terrifically horrific time for everybody. And, we do need to acknowledge this was the first time we had that degree of heat for so long in this province. And the challenging part was it didn't cool down at night. And so people weren't used to that. We didn't have what we needed in place in many people's homes to be able to have a safe, cool place. So the air conditioners are one piece of it, but I think it's also really important that we've done a lot of work to try and raise awareness, to find places that people can go, to make sure they know what to do to try and cool down in this heat. So I think we've come a long way in being able to manage much better than we did then.
Now, we know many people who died lived in poverty or had mobility issues that made it hard for them to access cooling areas. Do you think the province has done enough to protect vulnerable people against future extreme heat events? Because we know we are going to see future heat events. Do more regulations have to be in place provincially or municipally?
Absolutely, and I think it is inevitable. Hopefully we won't have as many of that severe heat. So one of the first things we've done is put together a provincial committee that looks at when are the temperatures, the conditions expected to be that level of severity, so a severe heat. And so we have tools now that people can use at every level. So personally, what we can do within our own home, ourselves, with those around us that we know are more vulnerable. So I think that's a really important part of it, that we need to plan ahead to recognize the people in our family and our communities that need that extra support. But as you say, there are other things that we need to do. Some of them are shorter term, being able to put air conditioners in, having access to heat pumps for people, having community-based places where people can go. We've got things like misters that are now very common, and just mobilizing within communities to be able to support people better. And then there are the longer term things, and those include things like having bylaws that require in the building code changes, and so some of that has come in, requiring cooling spaces in new builds. And there's tools now that we can use at the community level to help people find ways to find those cool areas in their home, in their buildings. Some of the ways that we've been doing that, for example, are in BC housing facilities. All of the BC housing facilities now have to have a cool space for the residents to be able to go during a time of extreme heat that we inevitably will see more of.
Do you think the province is working fast enough? Is there enough action? It's been 5 years now.
It is, and there's much that has been done. Some of these things take a long time. We need more green space. We need buildings that have more shade. We need to plan better. Those are longer term future things. And, one could say we have never done enough, but I think there's things that we've done at every single level. So as an individual, as a family, as a community, the things that we can do in the immediate time, and then those longer term things that are really important for preparing us for the future.
Thank you, Dr. Henry. That's Dr. Bonnie Henry, BC's Provincial Health Officer. It is the eve of the review deadline that will determine the future of the North American Free Trade Pact. Canada and Mexico want to extend it for another 16 years, but a source tells CBC News the U.S. does not want to renew the deal. And after months of tension with the Trump administration, those talks are not expected to go smoothly. Ashley Burke reports.
Good to see you.
The Prime Minister setting expectations low, saying he doesn't think the U.S. will suddenly agree to sign a renewal of North America's free trade deal.
We're expecting, a constructive exchange. I wouldn't expect any drama tomorrow. I'm not looking for my pen.
Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. are meeting virtually on Wednesday to talk about CUSMA's future. Carney wants to renew the pact for 16 years.
Entonces, yo, por ejemplo, ya firme.
Mexico's president is calling for that too. But a Canadian source told CBC News Trump's trade representative, Jamieson Greer, is not expected to get on board.
The only fireworks I expect to see coming out of tomorrow are those that help us celebrate Canada Day.
That doesn't mean the trade deal is dead. It would stay in place for a decade with annual reviews.
Americans will continue kind of their aggressive posture, pushing their unfairness narrative against Canada, and that might be why they don't renew for 16 years.
The Canadian source said they expect the U.S. will say it wants to keep talking with Mexico and Canada separately.
The Americans will say not so fast, we're not ready, and we will continue on in the discussions. And so it'll be a flashpoint.
Trump wants concessions, including putting American booze back on Canadian shelves, more access to sell American power to Alberta, and more tariff-free dairy to Canada. Canada wants the U.S. to lower its tariffs, hammering Canadian industries, including steel, aluminum, and autos.
We have to hold the line on that. We have to be firm about it, and we can't lose our nerve. We've got to defend workers. We've got to defend these industries.
The government under pressure with Canadian jobs on the line and companies putting plans on hold.
And we'll continue to fight this trade war.
Our role has always been and will always be to defend our workers and industry in Canada's best interest.
Prime Minister Mark Carney spent the day in northern Quebec trying to forge a deeper partnership with Inuit leaders. The meeting comes as Ottawa prepares to spend billions of dollars across the region to build up the military and assert Canada's sovereignty in the north. The CBC's Olivia Stefanovic is there.
The Prime Minister arrived in Kuujjuaq with a list of priorities to tackle.
Tuberculosis, food security, housing.
Mark Carney is the first Prime Minister in almost 20 years to visit the Inuit homeland of northern Quebec, known as Nunavik, a visit as Ottawa prepares to reassert its northern sovereignty.
To get the full benefit for Inuit of major investments that are possible both in defense and infrastructure, over $40 billion of investment across the homelands. We have to do that right.
Tens of billions of dollars in new federal funding to build new military hubs, roads, and airports.
I'd like to welcome the Prime Minister and other ministers back to the Inuit Crown Partnership Committee table.
Ensuring the people who call this place home are not left behind, a key priority for Inuit leaders.
We are now at another precipice.
Worried the federal government could cut them out of decisions, use their land and resources without improving their quality of life.
There is still time for us to insert the human, the community element into this next wave of militarization in our homeland, so that we don't repeat the mistakes of the past and we don't create undue burden in our society.
We've been the neglected Canadians, because we always say we're Canadians first and first Canadians. But unfortunately, it doesn't show that with our realities that we have in the north.
Carney's visit didn't end with a major announcement, but Inuit leaders say his presence here is an important step towards developing trust and demonstrating that they can work together towards a stronger relationship. Olivia Stefanovic, CBC News, Kuujjuaq.
After an exchange of strikes between Washington and Tehran over the weekend, Donald Trump has threatened to annihilate Iran. Andrew Chang, host of About That, looks at what to make of the president's latest threat and why the Strait of Hormuz remains central to the unease.
Donald Trump has just threatened to end the Iranian regime again. There may come a point when we are no longer able to be reasonable, he wrote over the weekend. If that happens, the Islamic Republic of Iran will no longer exist. Why does Trump keep threatening to destroy Iran, only to pull back and say, talks are going very well, we have a deal? But then, next thing you know, he's threatening to destroy Iran all over again. Well, let's work backwards. Trump's most recent threat to erase Iran's entire theocracy came paired with actual violence. United States aircraft just struck Iranian missile and drone storage locations and coastal radar sites for violating the ceasefire agreement again. U.S. Central Command posted video of these strikes. But what was the ceasefire violation? Again, Trump was mentioning. Well, according to CENTCOM, 10 Iranian military targets at multiple locations were hit for Iran's drone attack on MT Kiku. Motor tanker Kiku is a Panama-flagged vessel transporting about 2 million barrels of oil through the Strait of Hormuz. According to the US, Iran put a drone on a collision course with it, and it hit. So, according to the US, Iran broke the ceasefire. But let's keep working backwards. Why would Iran attack a Panamanian ship during a ceasefire? Well, to this day, there is an unknown central strip of the strait that may be dotted with mines. So while Iran had full control of the strait, it would force ships to take a very narrow route, hugging the Iranian shoreline. But Washington has been promoting a different lane, a southern one, further from Iran's reach, hugging Oman's shoreline. And this is provocative to Iran. Its top diplomat has issued an explicit warning, in fact, to any ship that would dare skirt its preferred route, the one it intends to place a toll on, saying this would increase tensions. And when Trump said this Iranian attack on the Panama flag tanker was a ceasefire violation again, he was referring to yet another attack that happened the week before, where US officials say another Iranian drone hit another ship, this one flying Singapore's flag as it was leaving the Strait of Hormuz. And various media have all pointed to the same shipping traffic data, showing that this vessel, too, was sailing the southern route off Oman. And the US attacked Iran back after that incident, too. This is the cycle of perceived provocations, attacks, retaliations, and the two countries flip-flopping between blaming the other and promising a new round of talks to smooth everything back out again, which is where things stand today. But the last time this death spiral hit rock bottom, when Trump last threatened to kill all Iranians, a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again, that was in April. And it wasn't rock bottom, because now we're almost July, and the cycle continues.
It's not just Europe being hit with a heat wave. Parts of the east coast of Canada and the U.S. are expecting hot and humid conditions in the coming days. Why health officials are worried. Next. An intense heat wave has settled over some of the most populated parts of the U.S. and Canada. Brutally hot and humid conditions are expected to last for days, and health officials are worried. The CBC's Anand Ram has details on why and how you can stay safe as the temperatures rise.
During a heat wave, these buildings can cook.
They were designed for winter to keep the heat inside. So now we have a totally different environment.
Some units don't have air conditioning, like Fariza Sultani's, and she's seen the heat sneak up on others too.
Some people, they don't know how is the heat problems, you know. Suddenly they faint, they're struggling.
The heat dome is currently parked over the eastern half of the United States, parts of southern Ontario and Quebec, with temperatures expected to sit in the mid to high 30s until the end of the week. The humidity making it all feel worse.
I think I'm going to enjoy it, but I'm going to keep going back into the air conditioning.
And for those who don't have AC, fans can help if it's not too hot indoors.
If the air temperature is higher than body temperature, a fan will just create a convection oven and you'll just heat up a lot faster, especially in older adults.
Also at risk, the unhoused, people with health conditions, and kids too. Experts say pay attention to the warning signs of dizziness and nausea.
I think the other piece that we often don't realize is there's a lot of medications that a lot of us are on. Each of those can either change the way we sense and adjust to heat in our bodies or make us more susceptible.
And with the perfect storm of the World Cup in North America, Canada Day, and the 4th of July, experts say be careful how you celebrate and properly hydrate.
Alcohol, that will dehydrate you even more. Your body will gain heat a lot quicker when you're dehydrated.
Dump it in the cool water and you put it around your neck.
And with climate change adding intensity and frequency to these extreme heat events, helping people keep cool is a small lifeline to an increasingly extended threat. Anand Ram, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, Steve, many parts of the country, I should say, seeing extreme heat. How about here in BC?
Well, it looks like we're not going to be getting up to those sorts of temperatures here in BC. Janella, we can see actually a little bit of a cooling trend, at least for a couple of days as we get through the next bit of the week. But as we go through the overnight hours here in BC tonight, we can see that we do have some stormy conditions in store for us. We have a risk of thunderstorms, Fort St. John, central BC, Prince George and Williams Lake, as well as parts of the southeast and southern interior and southeast of the province. We can see in Kamloops, Kelowna, Golden, and in Cranbrook as well. And earlier today, we did hear from Environment Canada about the possibility of severe thunderstorms up in the far northeast of the province around Fort Nelson, as well as Fort St. John and the Peace region, as well as parts of the southern interior, including Kamloops. Strong winds, large hail, and also very heavy rains possible. Make sure you're indoors if that's happening, and make sure you're keeping safe from all of that. But over the next couple of days, we can expect some rain making its way to the province. It'll be coming in pretty scattered and a little bit heavy at intervals. It's really as we get to Friday late in the morning and early on in the afternoon where we see more of these systems building up across the province and bringing some more rain to the area and covering pretty much the entirety of the province, including here on the south coast. So some more rains in store for us as we get a little bit closer to the end of the week. Now let's take a look at accumulations through to Saturday. This is accumulations, not total rainfall. We do have a decent amount, 18 millimeters in Fort St. John and the Peace region. We can see these areas here where we have those spots of yellow and also brown and some other colors, possibly 40 to 60 millimeters of accumulation, maybe even a little bit more than that. So it is an encouraging sign as we are watching the fire danger around the province. These areas in central and northern BC now under low to very low, including here in the southeast of the province, under low to very low fire danger. This is an encouraging sign compared to a few days ago when a large part of the province was under moderate to high. So it looks like the rain that we've had so far has really helped in this regard, and we'll see over the next couple of days how that changes with the additional rain in the forecast. Over tomorrow, we can expect that for the south coast, mixed bag of conditions, low 20s for the most part, chance of showers in the Fraser Valley, as well as parts of Vancouver Island, including Port Hardy and Nanaimo. Let's take a look at the 5-day forecast for Metro Vancouver. As we get through Canada Day, Chance of showers and cloud cover, and we'll see that on Thursday as well. Mix of sun and cloud on Friday, and then clear skies and warming temperatures as we get to the end of the weekend. Janella?
A little rain is not going to stop us from celebrating. Thanks so much, Steve.
My pleasure.
Ukraine's current offensive in its fight against Russia's invasion is starting to have a big impact far beyond the war zone. A series of attacks on oil facilities in Russia is causing widespread fuel shortages across the country. As Briar Stewart reports, it's a crisis Russian President Vladimir Putin is trying to downplay.
Across many parts of Russia, cars crowd around fuel pumps, while others sit in long lines, waiting in some cases hours for a chance to fill up. 4.5 years into Moscow's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, Russians are grappling with the crisis triggered by this. Ukraine's attacks on energy facilities. The situation is bad. There are queues everywhere, said this woman. This is the second petrol station where I've tried to fill up today. Where I live, half of the stations are closed, said this man. Russia is one of the world's largest producers of oil and gas, but several regions have restricted the sale of gasoline. Russia's president said the strikes were causing problems, but he said the fuel shortage wasn't critical. In Crimea, which Russia illegally annexed in 2014, authorities have declared a state of emergency. Ukraine has been targeting routes in and out of the Black Sea Peninsula. There have been so many attacks that authorities have even banned the use of motorcycles overnight because they sound too similar to the drones Ukraine has been launching. Some analysts estimate Russia's gasoline output is down by about 20%. The Russian fuel crisis is taking place against the backdrop of the budget crisis and an unprecedented deficit, says this economic analyst, who says it could also drive inflation up. Just how long Russia's gas shortage lasts depends on how quickly Moscow can repair its facilities and whether Kyiv keeps attacking. Ukraine's president vows it will, saying they're carrying out a 40-day campaign to try to create pressure to end the war. Briar Stewart, CBC News, London.
A historic matchup this Saturday at the FIFA World Cup. Canada takes on Morocco in the round of 16. What to expect when we return.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and this is your CBC Inbox.
CBC is back as the exclusive media partner for the Squamish Nation Youth Powwow, July 10th to 12th. This family-friendly event welcomes everyone to celebrate Indigenous culture and community. Details at SquamishNationYouthPowwow.com. And on Sunday, July 5th, join CBC as the Vancouver Bandits take the court for the Indigenous Heritage Game. Take your shot against Jeremy Ratt at the Bandits' Backyard Barbecue and win CBC swag.
Canadians in every region of the country will be glued to their screens Saturday afternoon when the men's national team takes on Morocco in the FIFA World Cup round of 16.
Now, these are teams with a bit of a shared past and a bit of a shared fan base. The CBC's Sarah Levitt sets up the match.
Elation from Morocco soccer fans after their team bested European giants, the Netherlands, to reach the round of 16, where they'll battle Canada Saturday in Houston.
I'm so proud to be a Canadian at this moment.
Canada's, continues to prove that we belong on the world stage.
Morocco came into the tournament ranked 7th, Canada 30th, and the teams have history. Both clashed in the 2022 World Cup group stage, with the Atlas Lions prevailing 2-1. But Morocco's coach says,
To
the people who think the match will be easy, that's not the case. And there's mutual respect from Canada's side.
Given Morocco's last 6 years, I think that they're a modern giant.
At this sports store in Montreal's Little Maghreb, there are a whole lot of Moroccan jerseys for sale, and a sole Canadian one.
Plus populaire ici.
The store owner says he's catering to the clientele. Montreal's home to North America's biggest Moroccan community. Even Morocco's star goalkeeper, known as Bono, was born here. His saves in the penalty shootouts helped secure the win, whipping this Montreal crowd into a frenzy. Now, with a showdown against Canada.
It's a pretty special feeling because it's a game between the two countries I love. My country of birth, Morocco, and the country that warmly welcomed me, which is Canada.
There are still questions, though, around Canadian captain Alphonso Davies. After dealing with a hamstring injury, his sub-in the 74th minute in the game against South Africa hyped up the team and fans.
He came on in the last 15 minutes, and he made an impact. The question is, how much can he give?
It's already been a historic World Cup for the Canadian men. Now a chance at the quarterfinals is on the line. Sarah Levitt, CBC News, Montreal.
If you could give anyone a national shout out this Canada Day, who would it be?
Email us at askcbc.ca, and on July 1st, we will celebrate all the people who make Canada a better place.
Hi, Canada. I'm Andrea Martin.
Hi, I'm Tom Green. Hi, I'm Chef Sicily. Hey, what's up? It's Andrew Fung.
This Canada Day, we are turning over the mic, and we want to hear from you.
I want to shout out.
I want to shout out. I'd like to give a shout out.
Tell us about a fellow Canadian who's changed your life, whether they've helped you move a couch or move a mountain. Shout out, Canada.
I want to give a shout out to Tony Duffenay, who was my high school drama teacher.
I want to shout out my late mother, Lucine Bailey.
Email us at ask@cbc.ca, and you could see your shout out on air during our special all-day programming on Canada Day.
And a special shout out to our friend Steve Jung for keeping us informed about the weather. Darius will be back with us in July. Thanks so much, Steve.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been such a pleasure walking you through the weather this past little bit, but maybe you'll be seeing me more during the summer.
I hope so.
Thanks for being with us tonight on CBC Vancouver News.
Join us Wednesday for our cross-country Canada Day coverage of celebrations from coast to coast, streaming across CBC News platforms. Have a good night.
Good night.